Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. This is gonna be actually an actual tournament match that I played. I think it was this week. But anyway, rank 13, which is actually quite nice. I really actually enjoy being a low rank more than being at rank 1 because it just looks so much better when you're low rank and you're beating the high ranks. But anyway, I don't know if this was close to rank reset or not. I don't really care, honestly. But as you can see here, we have a spectator, so that's usually how the tournament goes. The guy that's, the referee and everything, he stays on the spectator mode. And we have this team, which I don't remember like right now, but I'm probably gonna find out and put on the title the name of their team. The name of my team is the 6-1, and we're playing for the South American League on this match right here. By the way, we're on the group stage still. So I think this was actually our the match that we classified to the final stages of the tournament. I mean my team, of course. So let me go over the rules a little bit so you guys have some context. Now, as far as what's allowed, the killers are allowed to use purple add-ons or lower. So I could use purple if I want to, but I'm not because I'm playing pyramid. You can use any perks you want, besides the latest ones from the Felix chapter. You cannot use that. You cannot use Felix either or the new characters. So that's the only down thing you cannot use there. And like I mentioned, red add-ons you cannot use that as well for killer. Now for survivor, they cannot repeat perks. So teachable perks that are, I believe, green or higher. So for example, unbreakable, you cannot have multiple unbreakables. You can only have one survivor having unbreakable because that's a purple and it's a teachable for build. You get the picture, so it's like you can repeat teachables. So there's no two DSs, there's no two deliverances, none of that. It's only one perk, one teachable for the whole team. They can use. They cannot repeat perks that way. They can only repeat something that's not teachable, such as resilience, for example, which is a universal perk. They can always use resilience if they want. So that would be 4 resiliences. Perks like that is fine, but they cannot repeat the teachables. So, which is a good, very good rule, by the way, because that balances much better not to have to deal with like 4 DSs or things like that. It just completely breaks the game, the balance of the game at this level. So they can also block. The survivors can block 3 maps or realms for that matter. So they blocked for me Larry's, I think the laboratory Hawkins, and they also blocked everything that was Macmillian realm. So which is the night maps. So instead I chose, and I'm the killer, so I can choose. I can choose anything that they haven't blocked. So I chose to play on Azerov's, simply because that's a really balanced map for a tournament play. Now, I'm actually going to do an analysis over on the gameplay. You know, I know you guys enjoy that, so why not? So, I already know the spawns for this map. So, right there, I went straight for the spawn, and there she was. She was actually doing the gen, which is also a very good thing about this map as well, which is I think she tried to dead hard here. Something happened. I don't know if it was lag. She probably tried to dead hard or something happened there. Or she thought she had that, but she didn't. I don't know. But anyway, it was a good chase. First chase, you always want to be quickly, as fast as possible, get the first hook going, because that's when the pressure starts. Get people off the gens, right? So, but like I was saying, this map, usually when you spawn where I did there, on the opposite, usually the very opposite side, if you spawn on the very, like, edge corner like that, usually on the very opposite side, there's one survivor to spawn, and the others are always all going to spawn on the other side of the map, which is where my corrupt is. So that's really good for me because they're not. This map is also really good for that reason as well, because it's very divided on the sides. When you're using corrupt intervention, it pretty much blocks the entire side there. So it's much easier to defend only one side, right? So like right now, I don't have to worry about defending the other side because all my gens are here, including the hook itself. And here I'm setting up the trails here for when they come from their save, I can get them tormented because they will come for the save. They have to. Now, the reason why I'm playing blue defensively here is because obviously I don't want them to get the save. I want her dead as soon as possible, and also because, like I mentioned, all my gens are here, so it's an actual strategic position that I not only have the luxury to, but it's actually beneficial to me to stay here and make sure they don't save. Now, I was just waiting. You see, I was looking around. I was just waiting for this person to show up, which is the savior. As I was running there to the as I was going back and forth, I was really just looking at the maps, seeing if I could spot the savior coming for the save, and I did there eventually. So this is really a brain move here. You see, I didn't hit him because he might as well probably has borrow time as well. So that's why I didn't hit him, because that would give him the free save. I don't want that. So by not hitting him, I'm forcing him to try to save and maybe give him a catch like I did there, which is what happened. Right there, I'm not going to go into much detail here, or I could take the whole match explaining it. But there's a trick to what I did there to make sure that I got the catch. I already covered that on my coaching to some people, but I'm not gonna cover here because it's gonna take too long to explain everything. I want to focus more on the game. So Fang is dead, so that's super good. That means one death already, and we only got one gen done. So and the second guy's already going on hook, so that's essentially game already. I have to screw up pretty bad for this position to change. So like right here again, like I don't have to exactly, but I will because this is a tournament, so we don't play around. So I'm not gonna give them any second chances. I'm gonna kill them if they let me. I'm gonna kill as soon as they let me. So in this chance, I could just focus, especially because I have Pop and Ruin. I could just focus on the Claudette, and they really would not get the gens done, regardless if they're being saved or not. So I would be just trading hooks until they're all dead, but that takes too long. So I don't want to, and that possibly gives them more chances. So I'm not gonna do that. So that's why I was just kind of watching the hook there, waiting for the save as well as how can I say, trapping the Claudette on this side of the map because she has nowhere to go. This map, she's on the edge of the map, so I don't have to worry about following her. I just stay there planted, and I know she's right in front of me. And she had my ruin as well. If you noticed there, there's really no big deal because at this point I have so much control of the game. It's fine if she gets my ruin, as long as she's not doing a gen, I'm winning. And you see there as well what I mentioned about placing the trails so that I could get them tormented. You see I already took advantage of that on the tap. As soon as he left the hook, there is a chance he has a DS. It's probably the obsession that has DS, but either way, to not take that risk, I just used my torment and sent him to the cage. So now he's already on death hook, just like that. Claudette is on hook as well, and yeah, and I didn't have to deal with DS in case Tap had DS. Also, the reason why I have Rancor is also a very strategic person. This would be like my meta build, I would say. This is really what I usually use on tournaments. If anything, I would only switch Rancor for something else, maybe Noad, or if they would let me, maybe Undying or something instead of Pop Goes Weasel. I don't know. But yeah, this is usually my meta build here. It's really just information perks, as well as really meta perks like for holding the gens. Now again, I'm chasing the what's the name, the other person there, but I'm actually watching. I'm paying attention to the hook for if I can stop the savior like I did there. I think I didn't time that properly, but I could have downed him and the other, not him, but the person that got off the hook. I didn't time that properly, so she was able to take the invincibility hit there on the, she got hit during the invincibility frames. So that was actually my first mistake in this game. If I timed that properly, it would essentially be she would be slugged, and then I could just slug the tap, and then it's GG. I just have to find the last person, and it's 4K right there. So that was the first mistake I did there. Only mistake so far. Everything else was just perfect. And I'm gonna kick this gen because why not? Just regress it to 0. Give them no chance. And now I'm really just searching for them. They have a. Oh, also I forgot to mention about the rules. The survivors, they can use med. Not necessarily med because they can use whatever they want, but they can use up to yellow items, and on those items they can use green add-ons or lower. So that's why they all have med kits because that's obviously the most efficient choice for a tournament game. So I found the Claudette. I knew she was kind of over this area because that's where she ran to after I chased the tap away, so that I already knew she had to be somewhere around this area, so that's why I came looking around here. You notice I was especially looking at the corners because I'm expecting them to be trying to hide really hard, so that's why I was focusing more looking at the corners of the map, the edges, and more than the center itself. Now, I believe who's the second person that got killed? I already forgot. Maybe it was Step. Not sure. But yeah, but that second person is that. You see, I lost myself. There's so many things to talk about. But anyway, so there goes Claudette is on the floor. Now I'm just gonna slug him so I can get the 4K, which is 4 points for my team. I don't want to give them the chance for getting the hatch. Otherwise it would only be 3 points for my team. During this game, as I'm playing it, my team is playing the survivor side, so against their killers. So it's all happening at the same time. So I want to do the best job for my team, which would be getting the 4 points. So that's why I'm not gonna give them the chance. Now, here I think she's actually an unlocker. I had that feeling. Um, so I'm kind of just looking around first to make sure because she can't go anywhere if she's on the locker, right? So by looking first around here, I make sure that she doesn't go away as I'm looking at the locker, you know? So like right now, the only possibility is that she would be actually in the locker, you know? So I do if you want to like just you see right there, I got a little glimpse of her head on the little hole there on the wall, so I knew she was there, and I immediately stopped kicking the gen, and I was like, finally, I got my 4K. This was a little bit too late, but I could have hit her there with my, because especially having the range add-ons like I'm using here. If I timed out a little bit properly, I could have hit her there and finished the game right there. So that was, let's call it second mistake, okay? But usually when you have so much control like this, like I just completely secure the game from the beginning. Usually you can afford to make mistakes like this and you're still gonna get the 4K if you know what you're doing, of course. If you understand how to gain control and everything, you know, and when you lost it, and, you know, stuff like that. So unfortunately, she was able to get the heal, right, because of my mistake there on the window. So now, you know, I still have control of the game. You know, this is pretty much clear 4K, but you know, still giving them more chances with these mistakes. This just really stalls the game longer, which is not super good. You know, not the ideal. I just want to really end it as fast as possible, not give them second chances. So now I have to find a Claudette again. Now, you know, I'm just trying to guess where she is now. She's probably around somewhere in this area, right? Because that's where she ran to. But and now again, I was hoping she would be injured, right? Because I can hear her better. But she has a med kit, so yeah, she can heal. At least like 2 or 3 heals she can do before her med kits runs out because of the good add-ons. So I saw they heal each other here, so I'm going back to the area where I down her. The the character from Silent Hill, I forgot the name. Cheryl, I think it's Cheryl. And again, this is really boring. Usually if I'm playing a public game, I would use whispers instead of rancors simply for this particular scenario right here when you're trying to find people and you just keep hiding. Really the only reason why I use whispers on my builds. It helps with the setup of the game at the start, but it's really mostly for this reason that I use it because I know the spawns, right? So it's not really super hard to find them, even without whispers. And I know strategy as well as a little other tricks that you can use to find them faster without whispers. But you know, so I can always use those instead of using whispers itself. But I just use it because it's really annoying to have to wait this long to finish the game that you pretty much already won. Now I had a feeling she was on the locker, but I was just kind of like, come on, she's really gonna head on me, and she actually did. So you know, I really don't care. I didn't bother to try to avoid it because you know it's not gonna change anything on the results of the games. I still have, you know, heading on me there really didn't, you know, help her at all. She just really put herself in a really dangerous situation there. If I was able to get the catch on the locker. Now again, this time she didn't go for the window, and I think she got in the locker again. Yeah, it's like I can tell by the scratch marks. It's pretty obvious. So I was like, come on, man, don't try that again. And she did, but yeah, oh well. So yeah, I don't know. I don't. These guys must be trolling or something. I don't know why would you would bring head on to a tournament match, but you know, regardless, I guess it's a group stage, right? So people are not necessarily trying so hard or the best team. But anyway, I still thought it was a good match to cover because you know, there's many points. Very important point is you can not just use on tournament, but also use that I points I mean in my gameplay that you can not learn and not just use on tournaments, but also on public games themselves. And and get a 4K that way. But that's like way more that I could cover here, but it's just too much. So I don't want to keep talking only about one single subject. I want to cover as much as possible. So if you want a really in-depth look, just try my coaching. One of the things that I do, you can ask me to analyze games, breakdowns. So this is what I would do in a much more detail. Really wouldn't I wouldn't take the time into consideration when making that breakdown. So here I'm trying to find, or I think it's a Cheryl that's up. And yeah, I'm just searching lockers because at this point, I mean, they really look like they would be hiding in a locker. I don't know. It's like I have no real clue of where she is. She's just in my head. I'm already thinking, right? She's obviously probably trying to hide until the other one bleeds out. Because it's really not a good idea for them right now. It's not very smart for them to heal each other because she's only risking herself being found by me if she tries to heal the Claudette right now, which would be the 4K. So instead of risking that, the smart move would be for her to just hide and wait for the Claudette to bleed out, and that way she can try to get hatch. Because no one can know where the hatch is because he hasn't spawned yet. Claudette would have to die before the hatch spawned. Now, I didn't mention this while I was talking, but in my head, I was already timing when I would go back, like I did right now, to pick her up. Because obviously I know that since I'm explaining to you, so I don't want her to bleed out because that gives them a chance to get hatched. So in my head, I was already timing, um, how much time I had to spend there on the shack area to search for her, and before I had to come back to pick her up before she bled out. And my timing was spot on. If it was like a second earlier, sorry, later, she would have bled out, and I have to possibly risk the 3K, which would be not ideal. So now, the scenario is pretty much the same. This thing that when you're playing, if it was a public game, would have already killed her. I really would not care to get the 4K this much, but because it's a tournament, you want to get the points. So you want to get as max points as you can. So I'm gonna have to deal with this as best as I can, even if it's really boring. So yeah, not much you can do there. Got down, and in my head, I already know I cannot down the Claudette again, no matter what, because as soon as she goes down, she's gonna bleed out, and unless the Shero is down as well, that's a bad idea, not a good move. So I cannot risk downing the Claudette, so she's pretty much invincible right now, until I can find both of them at the same time. So that's a scenario that's going to be really annoying to recreate. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned so far that I've been doing this whole time as well. You see, when I'm trying to find them, another thing that I'm doing is looking at the gens that they would probably be at. Because that way, if I see the gen that I have kicked previously is being worked on, that already tells me that the person that I'm looking for, the final one, was probably in that area or is, for the matter of fact, in that area as I am, looking around. So that gives me a clue. Now, I probably couldn't tell there if I didn't tell you, but I am actually paying attention to the gens as well as I'm doing all this searching. And again, I'm searching the corners because that's more likely where she would be hiding. Those would probably be the best hiding spots. If she's hiding this hard, right? I'm trying to find the bushes as well near the doors here as well. And you see, this is a good strategy as well. If you run on the corners of the map, looking at the center, this is better than running at the middle of the map and looking at the edges because they can just stay behind the walls, and everything. Not just that, but usually when you search the map like this, because survivors are doing the same thing. They're staying on the edges and looking towards the center because that's where they expect you to come from. So if you do this on public games, it's not unlikely that you actually run into the survivors as you're doing this, but like run into their back because they're not going to see you because they're expecting you to come from the center. So when you come from the edges like that, usually you're kind of at the same position as they are. So they're looking forward and you're kind of right next to them or behind them. So you can kind of catch them by surprise that way as well. It's really just unexpected for the killer to be moving on the edges of the map like this. So that makes it a good way to find them because sometimes they're hiding themselves on the center as well. So it essentially covers all possibilities if you're running on the edges like this. You can see both the edges and the center, and you see I was able to find her eventually. I was trying to find both at this point. I was trying to find both the Cheryl and the Claudette because I don't want Cheryl to bleed out either, right? I definitely don't want to hook her as well because they would just suicide if I hook them. So I'm just giving them free hatch. Not ideal. So I don't care if she doesn't wiggle. I'm just gonna carry her until I found the other one. Until I find the other one. It really doesn't matter to me. It's boring, it's annoying, but it has to be done if you want to get the 4K on in a scenario like this. And this is fun because these kind of scenarios they really only happen on tournament. It's really hard that this would happen on a public game. I would likely would have already found both of them if it was a public game. So it's funny though because when you play tournament, you see these scenarios happen. They never happen on a normal public games. So it's good that you know how to deal with them. You know, so this is a good example. I don't know if you happen to play a tournament yourself, or this just happened to happen to you on a public game. You know how to deal with it now. How you get the 4K on a scenario like this where there's only 2 people and they're making it really hard to find, making it really hard to be found. I mean. So right here, I have no intention of downing her. I'm just really hoping she would waste the pallets, so I don't have to worry about them later, possibly. Now, right now, what I'm doing is really just following her so I can keep track of her. And while I'm keeping track of her, I'm waiting for the Claudette, the other one that's up, to do a gen, or gens, and for that matter. Because if she does 1 or 2 gens, I believe, the hatch will spawn. And that way, I can look for the hatch before I kill one of them, you know, so I know the location of the hatch before I kill one of them, which is more advantageous for me. That's why I am doing what I'm doing right here. That's my intention, which is the smartest play you can do in a scenario like this as the killer. And I don't think she realizes that I'm not trying to kill her. I don't know. And the Claudette is also not doing gen. She's like just waiting for me to kill her. The other Cheryl here. So it's really annoying. In this scenario, it's almost like a hatch standoff. If you guys are from the old days and you remember what a hatch standoff is, it's pretty much the same thing here. It's like they are essentially holding the game hostage if they don't do a gen at this moment. I'm not holding the game hostage because I want to get my 4K, so I'm doing my objective. They're not doing their objective. So in that scenario, they are just holding the game hostage. I was told at this point the other game from my team, they're already done. I think they got 3 escapes or something like that. So 3 points already, and so essentially I would just need to get 3 kills, or yeah, I mean 3 kills, 2 kills, and we would be able to win the sum of the points. You know, I just need essentially 2 kills here for us to be classified to the next area. So even if they both escape, we would still be classified, which obviously I do not know as I'm playing this match, right? So again, I'm just waiting for Colette to do a gen, or the Cheryl could help as well. She finally got to a gen now. So there you go. So there goes Claudette. She told me her location already, which doesn't matter because I need 1 more gen done at least, so I can start looking for the hatch before I kill one of them, because I can't slug them anymore or they're gonna bleed out. So best thing I can do now is really just find the hatch, know where the hatch is, so as soon as one of them die, I can just go to the hatch and close it. And that still gives them a chance of escaping through the door, but you know, still better than, you know, not knowing where the hatch is when it actually opens it. So here I'm just looking. I'm looking for the Claudette because I know the shower is gonna be on that gen, right? So that tells me her location already. So I just need to find the Claudette, and I can kind of string, you know, both together. So the reason why I did a catch there is because she's not gonna bleed out if I do a catch. So essentially, it was just another way that I found to buy time, essentially, without her actually finishing the gen up, right? Because I want the Claudette to come to this side or do something. The Claudette needs to show up. So one thing as well I'm gonna mention here, you probably didn't notice, but I'm also setting up a 3 gen here, if you couldn't tell. during all of this, I'm also thinking about setting up a 3-gen. Because the Claudette is doing the gens that are on the further side there, right? So eventually, when the Claudette finishes those gens, these gens right here will be the only ones left. So if she wanted to continue doing gens, she would have to come to this side, which would then allow me to find both of them together more easily. Now, let me go over what they can do if they are smart about it, which I doubt they are. So here I was able to spot the Claudette, so that's why I downed the Cheryl. It's not because I decided to just say screw it. It's because I actually found the Claudette, so I can combo the two of them now because I know where they are, And she's not gonna bleed out before I down the Claudette as well, so I don't have to worry about hatch in a scenario like this. So yeah, that's why that was really all that I was waiting this whole time. Because I cannot slow them, I was just waiting for the moment where both of them would be on the same spot, or at least I knew where they were, so that I could finally get my kill their way. And yeah, just like that. Now she bleed out, and it's fine if they bleed out at this moment. So like I was saying, what they could do instead, they should 99 all the gens. That's the best thing the survivors could have done in this scenario, because that way they would counter my strategy of waiting for them to do a gen. They can just pop all the 99 gens one after the other, and I can't do anything about it. It's like in 10 seconds the 99, all the gens would be done, and the hatch would spawn, or the door would be available to be open, and that would be the best strategy they could do in this scenario to get one person out to counter my counter, to their strategy. But yeah, that's the game. It was a little long, boring. But hopefully my explanation during all of that was able to give you guys some enlightenment. And yeah, guys, that's the video. Take care. See you guys in the next one.